Judge, at this point in the proceeding, we're asking the court to keep focus on the purpose of this hearing. And as the justices said in the Estes case, the purpose of a trial, and I know this isn't a trial, but the same logic applies, is to determine the defendant's guilt. It's not to educate the public or the victim's family or the world on what evidence the government or the state has. As the court knows, we have witness availability problems. We spent the bulk of today and yesterday arguing about nothing to do with the evidence in the case, but with rights of third parties. And it's appropriate for the court to consider that, but at some point, I think the court has to return to the purpose of these hearings, which is to expeditiously hear the evidence and then determine probable cause. And I want to point out to the court, Ms. Kirk has been very adept at holding press conferences at which she has revealed evidence. She has represented that the state is her attorney. She has access to all the evidence that the state has publicized and that the media and her own lawyer argues is already in the public domain. So they're perfectly free to go outside this courtroom under the court's protective order. They're free to go out and hold press conferences and announce to the world outside the courtroom what they think the evidence is. They have the availability of that evidence. But the court's role, I think, at some point is to exercise some control, move the case forward, and especially when we have witness availability problems. And I'd ask the court, whatever the court does, if you're going to allow revisiting or replaying of evidence for the sole purpose of informing the world or Ms. Kirk or anybody else, that the court do it at the end of the process and not at this point where we will be deprived of our ability to call this witness, because she has to be done today.
Thank you, Mr. Byrd.
Thank you.
Briefly, and I say that because time is of the essence, not because I don't want to hear what you have to say.
I understand, but there was a lot that was just said that's just not true.
Well, so let me put this in the spot where we need to be. And I understand that there's opinions, but I have to keep this to the probable cause. I don't want this to go to a back and forth about issues that lie outside of probable cause. And I realize statements are made, and as the victim's representative attorney, you want to address it. So I will hear you, but we need to be brief. So if you can be succinct, I definitely want to hear what you have to say.
Your Honor, I am almost always brief, I promise you. The family has not seen this video. It hasn't. It doesn't have access to the evidence the state has. The state is the state, and Mrs. Kirk and the family have their representatives. There's a completely distortion of reality that was just put forth. And this isn't about educating anybody about anything. This is about allowing the family to see the evidence that's been gathered after a 10-month investigation in which a father, a husband was assassinated. That's what this is about. So we ask you to please allow the family to view the video like the court has viewed in order to allow the family to process this moment.
Thank you.